Okay, darlings, hello, hello. We're super happy to present you our usual working team and our new amazing guest. So, welcome, Sheila. Could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself, just shortly to warm up our audience, please?
Well, I'm not sure what to say, but I know Alexi because I'm working with a small NGO here in Portland that we have a very global outlook, and we are working with Ukrainians who have have wonderful English. You study English and you have very good teachers. You have not so many opportunities to practice the speaking, and so I'm part of a team that have conversation clubs, and we practice everyday conversation using the English that you know very well, actually in everyday life. I guess that's enough to say, no?
It's more than enough. And by the way, thank you for your huge work that you are doing. It's quite helpful, I think, for everybody because actually, when you don't practice English, it will not be alive anymore. Like all this knowledge, they will just come to the passive background.
Yeah, it's very helpful for me, especially. I also something like I think updating my language. I also speaking skills. Okay, so I think we can start about questioning that we are interested in. So I think one of the we need to say before we start. So Sheila is also known as Japanese teacher. So he teach yes she teach Japanese language. So we want to start, we want to ask sorry about so because you have a connection between different cultures, between your American, European, and Asian Japanese culture. So, what are some of the most important things that you learned about communication between different cultures? Because our project is about connection between different countries' cultures, and so different students also.
Well, I actually, yes, I teach Japanese language and culture. My framework is called Chado, which is a Japanese art form based. It's called in English tea, but it's the way of tea. It's a very it's the foundation. And I'm going to answer your question by saying the basis for communication is respect. And this is one of there's four pillars in Chado, and one of them is respect. Um, if we truly respect each other and your countries and your cultures, and not only that, we respect what you have, the things in your life, we respect the earth, the land, the air, the water, the animals, the plants. We respect everything. Everything has its place, and everything has a voice. And that voice needs to be respected. In other words, uh, if if the plant is telling you, I'm, the leaves are going, it's thirsty. Listen to the plant. If you're faced with another person, whether it's on a computer screen or in person, we can feel something. There's communication beyond language, and it comes from the heart. So we can feel another person. We can feel that a person is nervous or angry or happy. But in your mind, notice, pay attention. And when you communicate, respect where that person is, and it's a mutual give and take built on respect. Every person in the world is uh, is worth hearing, and I mean every person. Some people struggle with life, but they have a voice, and we need to listen. That's it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Is it some allusion or maybe cultural inspiration because of Japanese Shinto mythology that everyone has a soul, not soul, it's something another word, but I can say that everyone has a stole, my table, my something game part or something like this.
Yeah, I would say more than people. I mean, every single thing.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another, I think, important question to our viewers. So, how did you manage to feel in love with teaching language to others, maybe, and how we uh, as a viewers or as a simple people can feel in love in learning language? So
Mhm.
maybe something rules or something like advices.
Well, I think it goes back to your first question, but I think I really enjoy people and I love animal. I mean, I love life and I love being, and I think my uh, my pleasure in helping other people communicate comes from my respect for them. For example, I want you to feel like you can say what's in your heart, you can say what's in your mind, um, because I respect you and I enjoy watching as people's language develops. When I'm teaching beginning people a language, and I've taught English and Japanese actually, but there is a point where the person suddenly says, "Oh, I can say what I'm thinking." That's a beautiful moment for the teacher, because really it's all about helping people. I really want, it's something I can do. I can't do everything, but I can help people communicate. Not just people. I can talk with my cat. I can talk with your dog or the horses or the birds. you know, I I believe we can all communicate and I love helping other people come to that understanding like, oh, you can communicate with all of these things. You can go into the forest and you can feel the energy of the trees. And I love helping people find that place.
You know, sometimes beginners, like people who have just started learning English or any other foreign languages, they can feel totally like destroyed when they have already done a lot of things, but they can't start speaking, or they know like a part of grammar, but they can't practice it and in their speaking practice. So how did you have experience like this, and how can you help people with this issue? Because it's such a destroying feeling when you feel like, oh my god, it's not enough one more time. So
Yeah.
how could I be better?
So I am now, I'm no different than anyone. We all experience that. So I've studied many different languages and I have to remember my own teaching. I teach my students. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake, grammar. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. They want to hear what you're trying to say. I also fall into the trap. So I've studied Chichewa, which is a language in Southern Africa, and I know the vocabulary, and I think I can put it together. But I'm shy. I think, oh, they'll think I don't know what, and I tell myself, what do I teach my students? Just say it. I don't have this problem in Japanese because uh, English and Japanese are kind of the same for me. I can think in either one of them. I'm not worried about it. But other languages, I find that I also have that problem. So I do hear what you're saying, and my comment or suggestion is try to believe that that other person that's hearing you isn't interested in judging you. All they want to do is hear you. So say it. Even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. When I don't speak your language, but when you hear all of us Americans on this conversation club, when you hear us speaking, we don't think about grammar and we often make mistakes that are wrong because you study, but that's how we talk.
Yeah,
we,
I think especially for English speakers, it's English for learning English. It's especially a good point that you need to hear English speakers, native speakers, that nobody cares about any grammar or grammar constructions in their sentences, and they somehow put words in the sentence and speak. So it's it's nothing about. So, if talking, continue talking about languages, so how does it feel to maybe teach Japanese, and how does it feel to speak with both of these languages, English and Japanese? Because these languages are very different, is from different language families, different from on their structure. Japanese have no conception of words. It's hieroglyphs, maybe their meanings. I don't know how to say it,
I'm not
but
sure I understood that last point.
the Japanese don't have a traditional in our view, conception of words. They don't have words in their language, maybe, or
Verbs, you mean?
words,
I,
Words
I
or
think that words, yeah.
words,
Alexei wanted to
words,
tell you about
words.
words, yeah.
Yeah, words.
words? Well, they
Or
have words.
maybe not,
Yeah, they just use.
maybe not as we understand in our Ukrainian and English language. No, maybe I'm wrong. So
I'm not sure I understand your train of thought, but tell me if I'm on the right track. So, Ukrainian or Spanish and French and Italian and German and English all have words that are related.
yeah,
Our language, English, is more of a Germanic language, but we borrow many words from the Latin languages. So you can kind of pick up vocabulary, right? You if you are from one of the countries that uses those languages, you can kind of figure it out. Japanese is not based on those languages. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
about different conception of this, which is a building
So
language.
it's not based at all on English or German or French or Latin or but uh, this is very true, but it's we are all humans and we're all expressing our relationship to the world, and we're living in the same world. There are words to talk about the same things, but I think an important point that goes along with what you're saying is, I'll use this. So in English, we speak about this. You could describe it on this side. When we're using a Japanese thought process, we come at it from this side. It's the same thing, but it's it's two sides of the same thing. So in that, and I mean that grammatically, and I mean that in philosophically. One of my favorite things about teaching Japanese to non-Japanese speakers is that slowly, as people learn how to use the language, they realize there's not one way to see the world. There's not only one side. There are at least two. And if there are 10 languages, there are 10 sides. And all of them are equally valid. All of them are just as good. They're just different. And that's maybe what you're saying. Alexei, I'm not sure, but I think it's that it's based on a totally different worldview.
Yeah.
So it's not, I take students from 0 to being able to say what they think. It takes 1 year, but they're good. The brain is kind of flexible,
Yes. So about cultural views and see how we see the world. So maybe you can describe or into words, maybe maybe some points of American or English or and Japanese culture. So how differences, maybe some both points or something. What you're interested in.
You're asking me to talk about differences?
Maybe
To
differences.
compare
Yeah,
here, or
maybe
maybe
little compare, make a little compare. Yeah.
do you see any points?
What's interesting in where you compare these cultures?
Yeah, or do you see any points that are good to adapt from this culture? I mean, from Japanese culture.
Those are two different questions, but yes, yes, and yes. Every place has good and every place has not so good. So there are good things that I think we borrow, and there are good things that I think that Japan could borrow. Differences. I've been living Japanese for decades, and so it's hard for me even to think about differences because they kind of all mix together in my head. But I can think of physical differences easily. Just the way people lived. One big difference. This is again physical. It's not philosophical at all, but it's easy to live in Japan because there's public transportation everywhere. In America, we have to have a car. Not every place. New York City is great. You don't need a car in New York City, but most places, if I want to buy my food, I have to get in the car and go there. So in Japan, every place has public transportation, and that affects shopping. So in America, we have a giant, big refrigerator, and you go once a week and you buy everything you need for one whole week. But in Japan, I go every single day around the corner to the little shop and buy what I need that day because of transportation. So that's a huge difference. That has nothing to do with language. It's just one big difference. Yeah. I'll try to think of something that's more culturally different, but I can't think offhand.
You know, who is more relaxed? Because we have a kind of like stereotype that American people, they're always busy. They have a lot of different issues that they need to solve, and they are not relaxed anymore. They're always in stress because they're trying to deal with all of these issues. And I don't know why, but in my imagination, Japanese people, they are totally relaxed. They are totally calm down, and they're just, like smooth or something like this. So is it almost stereotyped in my head? Oh no, I know that the stereotype about American people, it works. It works not only for Ukrainian culture. A lot of people all over the world, they think in this way because I had an experience of cultural exchange, and together with our students, we have already discussed the stereotype because we had also one more girl from the United States, and she told us that, okay, guys, you need to divide a little bit. I mean, the stereotype, but what about this comparison? Did you manage to feel it?
I think this is such an interesting thing because I think, and from my observations, that Americans are really lazy. And then, it's so interesting, the stereotype maybe you have from movies or television, because we don't really live like that. Nobody is like they are in the movies or in television. It's like, well, first of all, we don't have two cars and we don't have go. But and we don't have big house. I mean, it's like, whoa. It's the stereotype isn't quite right, but every culture looks at another one and thinks that they're busy. I think too busy. So people here think that the Japanese are too busy. Just go.
Yeah, I also want to say it because some of I see and like some Japanese movies and other Asian movies, and there always we can see in them a Japanese corporate culture that it works 20 hours per day, living in work at work, not go home, and family can forgotten about their father.
Yeah, but in fact, the Japanese. I mean, it's hard to make a stereotype because here in America we have so many kinds of people, and it's a huge country. You can't say that this is an American because there's many choices. But in Japan, the same goes. People are some people are busy and some people are not. My world in Japan, where I take my students, I have taken high school students for years and years and years for immersion with families. But I take them to a small island where people farm, and it's not a big city. It's not Tokyo. It's farming, and the pace of life is very slow, and there's always time for stuff, and And in education, in the school where I take, the teachers are really, they let the children play. They don't have to line up in lines and raise their hand if they have to go to the potty. No, they just, it's very, it's relaxed. Now in the city, it's something very different. Here we have the same differences. Depends on where you go, but I think that there's a difference in the way people are truly and the way the media wants to present it, or movies. I don't know why, even when I was young, America was presented in a certain way. And I travel all over the world when I was in my 20s, and people would say, "You're not American." And I go, "I'm very American. I'm sorry, that's where I was born." And they said, "No, no, no, because first of all, my hair was black, and I'm very small, and um, I I I don't like materialism." and so for some reason, that's in what people thought Americans were. And I'm pretty typical. I'm very typical. I'm not unusual. But yeah, so Japanese also have busyness and they have calm. Americans have busyness and we have calm.
So it's a kind of like perfect balance. Yeah.
I'm sure individually some people are not balanced, you know, but it's very popular here to study things that are Asian, like yoga or Tai Chi or flower arrangements, or everybody loves anime. There's something attractive for our American students, my students. It's very attractive, the Japanese art sense. And I can go into what that means, because I think that's where the balance lies. It's in maybe I feel in Japan, daily life has more acknowledgement that life is art. It's true for every place, but I think it's built into the mentality in Japan that life is art. Art is life.
I think not only in America is Japan culture spreading with anime and some other with help some other tools. So in Ukraine too, and some other European countries too. So it's popular all among the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Even from the decade, Chinese inspiration cannot beat it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have had through the years many Asian students. I mean, especially Koreans love to study Japan.
Okay, but I actually like your idea about the art, that life is art and art is life. It's such an inspirational phrase. Yeah, and I just couldn't agree more. I have this trembling feeling all over my body because, yeah, you are totally right. It's exactly the way how everybody should live.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we don't have that if you think about it, if we don't appreciate the art in everything we do, daily life, even this moment is an art form. The communication we have, if we don't acknowledge and appreciate it, time just goes and done. We have only now, and that's the heart of what I teach actually, is we only have now. It's in Japanese, it's ichigo ichie. You have this meeting with time only once. We will never have this experience ever again. And so appreciate it.
It's an interesting philosophy, I think. So
I wish I were your student,
Well, okay, I do it on yeah, well, we can talk.
but
I would love to share this.
but I was the first.
Okay, let's see. Ladies first. What about ladies first rule?
We live in progressive world, so no.
Okay.
Okay, but I think we need to do a little advertisement. So about our project Drop-in Cafe, another about your project also. So maybe you can tell something about it. So maybe why?
By the way, it's a way how to become Sheila students, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
So why and how did you decide to support Ukraine and our Ukrainian refugees especially?
Well, I mean, the shock that we all experienced a year ago was just overwhelming. And my friend, who is the head of Global Service Corps, I've been working with him for a long time. I did curriculum development for a program that he was doing in Cambodia. Anyway, we were talking about this horrible situation in Ukraine and what can we do? And maybe I can't remember, he said someone told him that for young any Ukrainians, any age, people who have been displaced, especially, will need to find jobs, and many of them would like to find a job where they need English, but they lack the skills or they lack the confidence to speak English. So we said, let's just start. So we did last summer. We started a very small group, and I think I had 5 people. They were mostly teachers from the TESOL Ukraine group, the Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages group in Ukraine. And from there, they spread it to their students and their students and their students, and it has grown, and it continues to grow. But it's an idea that it's something. There's so much that needs to be done to help in a crisis, and not only in Ukraine, in crises around the world. So many things that need to happen. And what can I do? I can help with English conversation.
I wish that will be more people like you in our world.
I think there are many. I'm lucky because somehow this happened. I feel lucky.
Yeah, and could you please share any particular meaningful experience that you managed to receive during this period of work with Ukrainian refugees?
Every week, I don't, sometimes all of you work or study and you do these things because you have to do them. Oh, I got a deadline. I have to do this. And I don't feel that way about this conversation club. It's like every week I look forward to it. It's like, oh, I'm so happy I get to see my friends again. And I guess it's not an experience study. It's really all of them. All of the times we meet, I come away feeling like I've just had as we say, sit around the table at a coffee shop. I just had a nice time with my friends. And that is a really nice feeling to take with me the rest of the week.
Okay, so maybe after these meetings and now after this year, so can you associate 3 words to our Ukraine country? So we ask this every hour in every our interview. So it's very interesting to hear it from you.
You're asking me for 3 words?
Yeah, 3 words that associates with Ukrainian people and Ukraine.
Okay, it's probably. I mean, this is probably what most Americans would say first is Easter egg. Those gorgeous Ukrainian Easter eggs, right? Even everybody knows about beautiful Ukrainian Easter eggs. For me also, I imagine it's not a word. Can I give you more than one word? Can I say
Okay,
green hills?
okay.
Can I have an adjective there? Green hills with flowers.
Oh.
The Carpathian Mountains, yeah.
That's what I feel. And the third, so eggs and green hills with flowers, and the people. I'll say the first thing that comes to mind are beautiful embroidered blouses. I love the traditional, beautiful traditional clothing.
Oh,
I don't know if any of you.
yeah, understand about what you. It's Vishvanka, maybe.
I don't know, but we think, I don't know. I've seen pictures of just beautiful flowers on. I mean, it's women's clothing, not men's.
Yeah, I understand. It's Vishvanka.
Yeah, I have just tried to find a necklace that is also like special for Ukraine. I have just created by myself, but I can't find it in my table. So if you are interested in seeing it, I can show you. I have one more that I'm trying to create right now. If I also want, I also may show you. It's also kind of like old Ukrainian variant of necklace. So you
Oh, it's
create.
beautiful.
Yeah, and it will look like this. I was such and amazed by the way when I saw it for the first time. Yeah, and also this technique that is used for vyshyvanka, you can also make it not only with the usage of different colors and not only with the usage of different sorry, I need one word that I can't pick up in my head, just a second. Thread that you can create with the usage of different threads. You also can use it with you also can create your vyshyvankas with different birds, like small birds, bits.
Beads.
Beads. Yeah,
Yeah.
beads. Sorry for it. Yeah, and exactly this necklaces, they were created with the use of these small beads, and I was so shocked when I heard that also like 200 years ago we had this tradition. And I was totally amazed because, come on, I felt totally ashamed because I'm 20 years old and I didn't know about this tradition before. I was like, okay, am I really Ukrainian?
Yeah. So, and I knew about it. but that's okay. You're bringing it back. Share this with all people your age, because so this beadwork you do is beautiful. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think
Yeah.
it takes the same place in our culture, such as Japanese traditional maybe dress that mostly wear it on something like
Special occasions, yeah.
on special occasions.
Yeah.
Mm,
But hang on to it. Keep it. I think traditions are really, especially art. That's an art tradition. You have to work to keep it. If you don't try, it will be forgotten. So it's nice that you're doing this. It's beautiful. The word I think you were looking for is embroidery. Do you know this word?
no, I don't know.
Well, Daria was trying to say embroidery, I think.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe stop. I don't know the correct name about it, but it's
It's where you take the thread.
mostly from films and some anime, so I don't know how to say it
Yeah,
correctly.
I just forgot this word and I was trying to explain, but I also forgot how to name it because I don't usually use this vocab. And yeah, it was a totally new thing for me. But actually, the way how I started doing it was also super strange because we had a night bomb attack and I was just woke up because of the sounds. I was super shocked by it. I was all trembling, and they just opened like one of social medias that we have, and they found out there one girl who is working on this like restoration of old things that like Ukrainians used to wear like some centuries ago. And I was totally confused. And it was like 2 hours. It was kind of like after 2 hours after midnight. And I asked my parents to take me to the nearest shop just in the morning before my work to buy some special things and to start creating these things. Like I felt that I'm totally crazy, but it's just my way of relaxation, how I can relax and how I can forget about all the awful things that are going on. I'm just concentrated on my task and relaxed. It's my way of meditation. Let's call it like this.
It is. And that's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yes. Thank you for showing your beadwork. That's, yeah, beautiful. Just beautiful.
Thank you. Now I know at least how to name it.
Well, the beadwork is not embroidery. Embroidery is on the blouse, the flowers with colored thread.
Yeah, it's what about I thought, yeah, it was
It's about vyshyvanka, yeah.
Yeah, but the beads, I think is the best. The only word we have is beadwork. Yeah.
So if you talk about hobbies, you also mentioned that one of your hobbies is gathering. So is it inspired by some maybe Japanese tradition? Because also I know maybe it's a stereotype that there is a culture of Japanese gathering. Maybe that makes a special work. Maybe with help of water, with help of I don't know how to say it. With help of different plants, and it makes like a different world. Another one maybe place or another palace even.
I think you might be talking about bonsai.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
bonsai.
I don't do bonsai. Bonsai are little miniature worlds.
Yeah, it's a little miniature about the world. Yeah.
No, I don't do that. I do just a vegetable garden, fruit garden. But I practice something called permaculture. Permaculture is a natural farming where you don't try to force anything. So you don't dig and tear up and there's no chemicals. You just let nature do its thing. Of course, I have to help. I trim and do things, but it's natural farming in to the max. So I put, if I drink tea, and I do, and I take the tea, black tea, I take the leaves and I put them in my garden. If I peel an onion, I put that in the garden. So we make compost. But also, if the leaves fall in the autumn, we don't throw them into the, keep them, let them stay, because the bugs underneath, with the bugs and the birds, everybody needs. So it's a way of following nature's plan. So yes, I love gardening. I like to dig in the dirt, but I also love to find a tomato and a cucumber and eat it.
Yeah, I also have my home make cucumbers also. A year ago we had tomatoes, but it don't grow correctly in our land, so it's not. We have a very hard winter, so that doesn't survive.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but cucumbers are the best, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I told you yesterday I love kale. Kale is easy to grow.
It's the best because it's cheap. It's our homemade.
Usually, like at summer, we have a lot of tomatoes in our garden as well, and I'm just fed up of trying to like eat them or trying to can them somehow. And like every summer, the only one thing that my mom can hear from me, it's like, "Mom, it's our tomato city one more time," because actually, like the only one I think that can grow up in our garden is tomato. Tomato and potato, but potato we will work on it during autumn. But when we have like summer activities, we usually grow tomato, and it's like, oh my god, best tomatoes one more time.
Can you grow lettuce?
Yeah, we also can grow lettuce, but I don't know why. Maybe we don't have enough good enough soil, so lettuce doesn't grow up very well in our soil. I don't know, it's mixed with sand, and maybe because of it, it's not only like soil, but it's a soil that is mixed with sand.
Sand. Where are you? Where do you live?
I live in the middle of Ukraine. I don't know why. It's not the soil that we have all around Ukraine. It's just only about my location. Maybe it's because my house is located, it's like in the top of the small hill, and because of it, like the soil in my garden looks like this. But yeah, for the rest of Ukraine, it works very well. We have extra welcoming soil.
Interesting. I wonder why it's sandy. I like geology. I'm very interested in earth sciences, and it's historically, like big history. It's interesting why different soils develop in different places because of the movement of the earth and all. So interesting. And where are you, Alexei? Are you in Kiev?
No, I'm Kharkiv. Also
You're
Kharkiv.
in Kharkiv. I
Yeah,
knew this.
I also have the same emotions that Daria have about tomatoes, but it's about cherries, because cherries is very beautiful, especially now. And not now, next month I think, where they blossom, but in next month in May and July you need to clean it out and collect it, and it's a very hard work, and it's not so beautiful as it was, because we have many cherry trees, and most of the cherries we don't collect, and they so
Just fall down, yeah.
fall down, and it's not very good as it first seems.
Send me cherry, please, and I will send you tomatoes, okay? I think it's a great deal.
This is good. Cherry pie.
Yeah, we also like cherry pies, but especially for now, we have a fridge about food with cherries, with freeze cherries. So I don't think I can send it now, and I can send it fresh or in our summer.
Okay, I'm waiting for your cherries, I adore cherry dumplings with cherries. It's in Ukraine we call it like vareniki, but actually it's a kind of like ravioli or dumplings that are filled with cherries, and they are not savory. They are super sweet, and we can cook them in different ways. So when we have a season of cherries, I usually cook them like all the day. I can eat it for dinner, for supper. It's my usual work.
Oh, it sounds delicious. Yeah. What kind of flour do you use on the outside?
I use wheat flour.
Wheat flour?
Yeah.
Is it whole wheat or white?
It's white wheat. I know that it's not really helpful, but it's the cheapest wheat, I think, in Ukraine, and I don't know why, but we used to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, we have a question from our viewers, so I think it's a bit stereotypic question, but do you like ikebana? I think no. It's maybe it's a question from our viewer. Maybe it's connected to because we speak of gathering.
It's fine. No. Every question is a good question. You can't say it's a good question. I like ikebana. The word ikebana is a combination of two characters. It means flower is the hana, and giving life to flowers. So you cut a flower and you bring it into your home and you bring it to life again. And I think that's a really nice thing. We love flowers in our home, but let's give them a life by making an art out of it. And so there are different, we call them schools, but different approaches to flower arranging. Some of them are very modern. Do you know the word avant-garde? They're like this. And then some of them are very traditional. And the one I do that is part of Chado is you take a flower. Before I cut the flower, I say, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to bring you in and give you a different life. And you apologize. You bring it inside, and then you take a container and you put it in, but you don't arrange it. You make it look just like it was in the garden or in the forest or in the fields. So there's different types, but all of them are really nice and beautiful. They make us happy when we see them.
Okay, so I think we need to we are limited time, so I think we need to ask you about our finalized questions. So about finalized questions, one of them is so what future projects maybe you can share or initiatives are you most excited about? Maybe you have some projects that you want to start and we can describe it to our viewers so they can join it. Like Drop Coffee, maybe you have another project that you want to start, something like this. Or maybe we can only say that recommend our Drop Coffee project to our viewers, something like this.
Projects. Well, we're going to continue our drop-in cafe because it's fun. We just enjoy. So everyone is welcome. Please
Okay,
come.
so yeah, I have a link to the Drop Coffee chat, so in
That's fun.
our comments, so everyone can follow.
I have other projects that are personal, unrelated to this. I'm developing some Japanese courses to do online. And then, but I'm doing one for visitors, people who like to go to Japan. So a really short course in being able to speak with people when you get there as a tourist. And then I'm also doing some work in Africa. So it's an interesting thing. I do evaluation, which means looking at what NGOs do, and they want to help. They say they want to help people. So I'm actually developing some interviews or surveys of the people that are supposedly being helped to ask them through an interpreter, is this useful? How do you feel about it? Instead of, here, let us give this, I want to hear, is this good? Do you like this? Is this what you want? Is there something different that might be more useful? So that's another interesting project. I'm also doing, along Daria's line, I'm also doing art. I make earrings. I made these. I make earrings, and I want to do more time for just painting. And I'm
And
doing.
how did you make it? Sorry.
Well, I do lots of these. I do many of these.
So
This
did you
is
paint them?
no. This sometimes I do. I like to paint. These are not. I actually I made these. I like. Do you know what collage means? Collage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So these are collage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I cover with lacquer, and I put sterling silver uh, hooks. Yeah. So I do these, and I also paint, and I'm doing fabric. I like fabric art, painting on fabric. So I don't know, stuff like that. And it's spring, almost spring. So the garden, I'm going to have to go to my garden.
You know, I need to recommend you one thing. I visited Austria, and there it is super spread. They create like earrings that is made out of pumpkin peel or something like this. I was super shocked when I saw it. It was a kind of like hippie market or something like this, and all people there, they were extremely creative. And I asked them how did they manage to create it, and they told me that they just peeled pumpkin and they dried it, and after that they pressed it somehow, and they just painted it. I thought it was like plastic or something like this, something that is not organic at all, but it was just a shell of pumpkin.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
So I think it's a bit. We need to ask our finalized questions later because there are a bit more questions for our viewers. So I think we can fast answer them. So one of them is, what is more important, motivation or what is? Okay. That is very more. What is more important, motivation or discipline for learning language? It's a question from Mary.
Huh. Is that the Mary that I know?
Maybe,
Ah,
yeah.
motivation or discipline? Wow. Motivation or discipline? I think you need both. How can you well, I guess it's like if you think the horse or the cart, which is first. But or the chicken or the egg. I guess that's better. So I think you have to be motivated first. Otherwise, you're not going to do the discipline that you have to do. Because if you do the discipline, and it's hard work, yeah, you do have to work. And I recommend for people who are learning 15 minutes every single day. You don't have to do an hour, 15 minutes every single day instead of 1 hour just before the assignment is due. You won't learn as much. Little by little is better. But to do that, you have to be motivated. Yeah. So, Mary, I think the answer is motivation.
Okay, so we have another
I also vote for motivation. Only motivation can help you. Because if you're a disciplined person, but you don't like what you're doing, it will not influence you in a good way.
Yeah, I also agree. It's only motivation helped me to start learning Latin because if I have one to discipline, I don't need it in any time. Yeah. So another questions of Marina. So what is your favorite activity in Japan? I don't know correctly about what it asks, so you can answer about what you think. Maybe what first comes to your head.
Well, Marina, that's a hard question because when I go, it depends on where I'm going. Yeah. If I go with my students to the village on the remote island, what is my favorite activity? Taking walks in the countryside through the rice fields, chatting with the old grandmas and grandpas that are working in the fields. I love doing this. But in the city, another thing I love is Japan has, we don't have a good word in English, but there are streets, little streets, very narrow streets, and there's shops on both sides, and there is a roof over the top so the rain doesn't come. But it's outdoors. I mean, it's a street.
Yeah, we
Cars can go.
understand. We in Eastern culture, like Turkish and Tinawa, maybe we have also like bazaars, maybe something like this.
Yeah.
Is it passage? No?
Well, it's actually just a street, and in the translation is shopping street. But there's little shops, and I love going to these little shops because I don't like to buy things, but you can just look. But there's a shop only that sells only sugar. And there's like many, many mountains of different types, colors of sugar. And then there's a shop that sells only knives, and there's all kinds of knives. And there's a shop that sells only stockings, socks, and you can find all kinds of socks. So these sorry. Hello, baby.
Hello, baby.
But she says, get off this thing.
I also have my baby who is hanging out somewhere here, so it's absolutely normal when you have a meeting and you can't, it's just passing through you.
She's saying, remember me? So Marina, the answer is walking in the countryside if I'm in the countryside, or going through these little shopping streets in the city.
Okay, so another question from Marina. It's about what was your favorite style in painting? Maybe it's about Japanese painting because even I don't know about anything about Japanese paintings because I know about poems, I know about something essays, I know about something other types of cultures, but I don't anything know about paintings.
Well, I love many kinds of paintings, and if her question is very general, if I go to a museum, an art museum, which section do I prefer? I always prefer to start and focus on the old masters. I love the technique of the old masters. Oh, like the Dutch paintings and the way
Or maybe
the
do you like Tintoretto in Venetian painting?
Say it again.
Tintoretto.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's
I
my
mean,
favorite. It's my favorite. Yeah.
yeah, I actually do. But if the question is about Japanese paintings, my answer for Japanese would be sumie, which is just it's not exactly painting. It's brush. It's ink, black ink on white paper. I love those.
Oh,
But really, my favorite are the old classic European artists. Yeah.
oh, I think our viewers are very excited about you. So it has many questions about.
Please
So
send,
another.
Alexi, you could send them to me later
Oh,
as a
okay.
text document and I can answer.
So it's a bit. We ask few most of interesting. I think. Do you speak Japanese free? It's from Allah. As I truly read.
Do I speak what?
Japanese free. I think an answer is yes because you're a native Japanese speaker, as I truly understand.
Free meaning do I have to think before I speak? I think
Yeah,
that's what
I think yes, yes, yeah,
yeah,
yes.
no, it's just like my mother tongue, which we say my mother tongue is English, but I it's almost equal to Japanese.
And I think it's a continuous question. So can you tell something in Japanese? Uh,
まあ、いいですよ。何言ったらいいのかな。多分、まあ、じゃあ私は松田シーダです。もう京都はね、何十年住んでまして、今オレゴンに住んでます。よろしくお願いいたします。
all that I understand it was about Sheila and Matsuda and Kyoto.
You got that. Good ears, good ears. All I said is, I didn't know what to say, so I just said, well, I'm Sheila Matsuda, and I lived many years in Kyoto, and now I live in Oregon.
We were just trying to catch some word that we can understand, you know. It's such a difficult experience when you hear like the language for the first time and you're like just trying to understand it.
Maybe for you folks, what you probably have an advantage because I think your ears can hear some of the sounds better than American English speakers. For example, my home, we say in English Oregon. In Japanese is Oregon. Oregon. And that's probably easier for you to hear because I say Oregon. Kyoto. And, the sounds are very, I think, easier for you to hear. Like my name Sheila isn't Sheila. In Japanese, it's Shira. It's like in English, people would look at your name and say Daria, probably. But I would say Daria because that's how it would be in Japanese.
Yeah, I think Japanese sounds more softer maybe than English.
There are only 5 vowel sounds. A, I, U, E, O. Only 5. In English, we have 14. So, because we have we have so many different sounds. So Japanese is easier.
Yeah, okay. So another question from Allah is what is your favorite trees and flowers in Japan? I think it's about plants. Maybe what your favorite plant?
What is my favorite flower? Well, I actually it's not blooming right now. It's called ayame. Maybe you have in Ukraine. It's a tiny purple iris. It's a small iris that grows wild on the hillside. So maybe the Carpathians have this flower, I think.
Okay, so for now it's a final question, and I think final at all. So I think we can ask you a final question, finalized question that how do you think language learning and cultural understanding can contribute to a more peaceful world? So can it contribute to a more peaceful world? Yeah.
Absolutely. Everyone needs to speak at least 2 languages and hopefully many, many more. At least try to speak many languages because as you learn a language, you learn another, as I was saying, you learn another perspective. And if you only know this side, other people, like, sorry, you're wrong. But if you know many sides, you realize, oh, you're right. In your way, everybody has a perspective. And that is a true path to peace. We have to understand that everyone has a voice and everyone's voice is a true voice, a good voice.
Oh, thank you for answer. So thank you, Sheila, for interview. Yes. So I think we can maybe even make a second interview if it will be maybe the I don't know, the inspiration from the high position. So I think thank you for interview. Thank you for questions of our viewers. So I think it's fine now. Bye.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you for your motivation. Yeah, I want to kiss your cat actually. Can you pass me a kiss, please?
She would love that.
I know, I know. I have like a funny tradition. Before going to bed, I need to kiss all my dogs. I have two of them, and I need not to forget about my cat. So for today, I have one more cat. I want to kiss your cat as well.
Okay, so bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.